year. We start this year with our college application process and financial aid planning. We're going to start the presentation. Now, I'm Mrs. Turner. I'm one of the school counselors here at Park Vista. And what we're going to do is, I'm doing the presentation, but then we'll take questions at the end. This coffee talk in particular has a lot of information. As I'm doing it, some of your questions may be answered. If not, we'll take them at the end. There's a class coming in right after this period, so we just want to start promptly. You should have 3 packets. The yellow, the goldenrod colored one is a copy of the presentation itself, the actual PowerPoint. Also, this PowerPoint will be, this presentation, I believe I'm being filmed. Am I, Miss Dare? Yes. Okay, this is being recorded. So if you need to just kind of see it again, or if you have some friends who can come, it will be on our school website under the guidance section of our Park Vista website. You also have a copy of flyers that start actually with the remind. I hope everyone here is on our guidance remind. All you have to do is text @PV guidance to 81010. Some of you are on it already. You may have found out about our coffee talk presentation this morning from Remind or from the phone dialer. So make sure we put a lot of information through this. Please also have your students. It's not just for parents, it's for students, also it's for everyone. So you're getting the latest updates from guidance, whether it be college presentations for them to go see here at school, scholarship, for instance. I have a scholarship Thursday for students this afternoon. They would be getting reminds about that, testing. So just make sure that everyone in your family is on Remind. We're also tweeting, so you can follow us on Twitter at PVCHS Guidance. All that is on the first page. So I will be referring to this packet quite often to let you know what resources we have in terms of the college planning and financial aid. The other packet you have is actually something that's on our school website, but we made a copy for you. It's a college admission booklet. It gives timelines, everything regarding the college application process and financial aid information. It's also on our school website, though. It can be easily accessed through that. Okay, so before we get into the actual application process, what is required to be admitted to a 4-year university? Okay, colleges look at 3 important things. First of all, the rigor of a student's schedule. The rigor is very important. We advise our students who are college bound to really challenge themselves every year. If a teacher is recommending that they take a more advanced class the following year, let's say they started in honors and then they say, okay, why don't you try to apply for AP or ACE? We encourage that as well. The more rigor a student has in their curriculum, not so much that, yes, the colleges like to see it when they apply, but also you'd be amazed on what studies are out there that show that students who have rigor in their schedule in high school typically graduate on time when they go to college. So it just gives them that practice, the strength that they need, academic strength that they need in order to be successful at the university. Yes, grades are very important, so that GPA, it is important that they're doing well. Not that they're taking those type of courses, but they're also succeeding in them as well. And also test scores. We're going to go over test scores in a few minutes. Now, in the state of Florida, in the SUS system, they require a minimum of 18 credits of academic classes in order to be considered to a 4-year university. So that would be like all of your English classes, your 4 English, your 4 years of math, including Algebra 2 and the Math Beyond, your 3 sciences, 3 social studies, foreign language, 2 years consecutively of the same language is required to get into a 4-year. And then they also look at other academic classes. So if you've taken more classes in math and all those areas, the more the better. So there you need to have a minimum of 18 to be considered. Most of our students have, who go on to college have way over that. Okay, so again, we do this with their planning, and that's why we advise them when they come into us in the beginning of the year and they plan to take these classes and all of a sudden, oh, that's too hard, I want to drop it. We advise them not to. Why? Because they need the academic units, they need to try to stick it out and to try to do the best they can, especially if they've been recommended for it. Okay? So yes, with test scores, they should have a minimum of college-ready test scores also to get into the universities. These are what the state university system here in Florida, what they tell us are the minimum college-ready scores. Please keep in mind, they could have like a 440 in their SAT for the English section and a 440 in math, for example, but that doesn't mean, okay, I'm able to get into UF or FSU or UCF, that's it, I meet the minimum. No, this is what the standard is. You're going to see, I'm going to show you later how really the trend is much higher than this with more competitive universities. But this is just a minimum. So colleges do look at SAT and ACT. PERT is for the community college or state college now that we call them, for instance, Palm Beach State. They look at college-ready scores, not so much for admissions at all, really, to go to a community college, is just to show that you finished your high school education. But they do use it to see that you're being placed appropriately in the classes there at the community college. So PERT is not for four-year university, it's more for college readiness in the state college. Okay, so SAT and ACT, just briefly, what is the difference? Should your child take both? Yes. Colleges do not prefer one over the other. It's, I know back when I was in high school, I'm from the East Coast, so it was SAT, SAT, SAT. If you were from the Midwest, it was more ACT, ACT. Well, now it's all over. They really accept, they accept either or, SAT or ACT, and we advise to take both because your child may do better on one test over the other, or they may feel more comfortable with another test. But take both so they have all options available to them. Okay? So, as I said before, colleges will accept either or. Most schools, in fact virtually all of them usually, will superscore the SAT. Now what the term superscore means that, let's say they've taken the SAT 3 times. There's 2 sections with the SAT. There's an English-based reading, writing section, and then there's a math section, and then there's an optional essay. So let's say you've taken the SAT 3 times. A college then will look at the student's best English-based reading, writing in those 3 sections, and then they will evaluate the best math, and then they'll combine those. That's the super scoring. That's what that means, okay? Now, ACT is an achievement test that has an English section, a reading, a math, science, and optional writing. Now, the highest you can get in each section on the ACT is a 36. That's what it's based out of. And then the SAT, the highest you can get in each one of those sections is going to be an 800. So that's the difference, okay? Also the timing of the test. I think the ACT, the sections have shorter times when you're taking the actual test. There's minor differences between, and some major between both, but we do recommend that they take both. The only thing is not all colleges will superscore the ACT, okay? There are some that do, okay, but not all of them. More and more of them are, but not all of them will, okay? Now, one question that we get a lot is, should my child take the essay section of the SAT or the ACT? It depends. Some colleges require it, others do not. I do see a lot of them that do not, but if there's one college in the bunch that's requiring it, they need to take it, okay? Very important. Okay, in your packet, I'm actually going to go over your packet. The first page over here was about the Remind. Then we also have SAT and ACT test dates. So we recommend that students start taking the SAT and the ACT spring semester of their junior year. Why? Because that's when they're finally the most academically prepared to take the test. They probably would have already had their higher level math courses and more English under their belt and so forth to be successful. Remember, they can take it more than once. Also here in our district, juniors take the SAT for free. This year it's going to be in, I think, it's going to be in March, sometime in March. There is a free SAT date. It's going to be during the week that all juniors will automatically take the test for free. And that's a great value when you think that the test is about $46 without the essay. That's a really nice value for them to have that free test, okay? And then they can take it again, maybe later in the spring as a retake or the beginning of their senior year. The ACT also, we have test dates also here for the ACT. Again, we recommend that they start taking both of those tests in the spring. Also, if your child has free reduced lunch, Remember, the free SAT, everyone takes it for free, but if your child is in the free reduced lunch program, then they are eligible for 2 fee waivers for the SAT test and 2 fee waivers for the ACT test, okay, in a lifetime. What they would need to do is just come to guidance. They can either speak to our secretaries or to us if we're available, because we're able to access that list. Then we see them on the list. Or if they want to print out their verification letter showing that they have it, then we can give them the waiver. Okay, that's just something that's good to know. All right. Now, the next thing I want to show you is what's here, and that's the matrix. That's the, I've already talked about testing. I've talked about, grades and rigor of schedule and so forth. This is something we receive every year, and this is pretty much hot off the press. This is based on the class of 2017, and on average, what they had to get into these universities. So this is data that the state university system has provided to us with every university here, showing us what these students on average had. So it's like the middle 50%. So I'm not saying that you have to have these mid-range GPAs or test scores. Your child may end up having a little bit less or a little bit more and still technically get accepted, but at least this is a good target to look at, to shoot for, because this is what's been accepted in the past, and this is based on last year's senior class. So if you look at, for instance, it's broken down into, and there's a lot of other good information here also. We have the total enrollment. So if you look, for instance, at UCF, they have enrolled there over 64,000 students. Now, I'm assuming it's the same. I know that in the past they've been like the second largest university in the country. Okay, not just here in this, not the largest in the state, but second largest in the nation. The reason we have that information for you is because I'm going to go over certain factors on why your child may choose a certain college. It could be the size. Again, do they want to go to a big school? Do they feel comfortable in a small school? So at least knowing how many people are there kind of helps with that decision-making process. We have the email address or the websites of the universities on top. We give that information because, yes, when you apply, it's going to be on that website, at least directions on how to apply. The mid-range GPA. So again, if we look at a university, and I'll just use UCF as an example, the mid-range, the way you would read this is the recalculated weighted GPA. So let me explain what that is. When a child applies to college, they're going to send in a transcript, which is a final record of all their final grades, credits that they received in high school for high school credit. Okay, and that's including if your child took like algebra, geometry, and Spanish in middle school, that's going to be lumped in there too because that's high school credit. And then what's going to happen is the college is going to see those grades. Typically what they do, they just look at those academic units. Remember those minimum 18 academic units? They want to make sure they have that. Again, most of them should have more. They're going to look at only those grades, and then they're going to assign quality points. But they're going to weight it. So typically, an A is worth 4 points, B is 3 points, C is 2, D is 1, F 0. Their colleges are going to weight them. So it's similar to what we have here at Park Vista called the HPA, except their weighting is a little bit different. If it's an honors course, let's say a student got an A in biology honors. They're not going to assign it 4 points, they're going to assign it 4.5. If they happen to have taken an AP, ACE, or dual enrollment, they're going to assign it a full quality point. So let's say they took ACE English, those 4 points automatically become 5 points to them. So it's weight. So all those GPAs you're seeing there are largely based on a recalculated weighted GPA. So that's what you're seeing in mid-range. So that's between a 3.7 and a 4.3. In the fall and the summer, notice that some of these that provide summer information, some students do choose to apply for the summer. What's the advantage of starting during the summertime after high school graduation? Well, there's several. First of all, usually the campus is quiet. They're not into yet the rah-rah of starting, the fraternity rushes and the football and all the kids there. It's obviously less students. It's not going to be as distracting, and it's kind of a good way for the student to get their feet wet. Ultimately, also in the state of Florida, you do have to do, I think it's about 9 semester hours, which is equivalent to 3 classes, as a requirement in the state university system in Florida. Okay, so some students can already get that out of the way, already starting right after the summer. It's just a choice. And as you notice, some of the requirements, they're not students that were accepted in the summer. Notice that their GPAs may have been slightly lower. So it's just an option. It's not something that has to be done, but know that it's an option. If they want to do it, and if they apply for the summer, that's fine, but please understand that that's when they're going to be offered, if they're accepted, they'll be offered admission during the summer. It's not something that they can tell admission, I know I applied for the summer, but I want to switch it to fall. No, you can do it the other way around. If you're accepted in the fall, and it's like, oh, is it a possibility for me to start in the summer? Yes, they may make an accommodation, but they won't do it the other way. So if it's something they want to do, make sure that it's something they're ready to do financially and just ready to start college right after graduation. Usually the term starts at the end of June. So we have the GPAs weighted. It even tells you how they weight them, which I went over. And then also, we have a column also on how they superscore the SAT, whether they superscore, if they superscore the SAT only or both. As you notice, UCF and UF are the only two schools that do not superscore the ACT. So this is just good information. It gives you about when to apply, even how much money for tuition, which I will be going over during this presentation. So it's just a good guide to have. And on the other side, you have the private schools. Okay, so those are the private schools in the state of Florida. And I know a lot of your students may be planning on going out of state, which is great. You can get that information online. College Board is a great website where you can access virtually any university in the nation, and it will give you like a profile of that school with similar information that you're seeing here. Okay, now another thing I want to show you. Some of your students are thinking about a very competitive university. We'll use University of Florida. This kind of gives a summary of what I've been talking about the importance of rigor and grades and test scores. I like this chart. I know it's from 2012. This really hasn't changed much. It's still the same principle. This is University of Florida. Admission rates by GPA. The first chart kind of tells you how important the GPA is when you're applying for college. So if you look at the very first one where it says 4.0 and above, the way you would read this, the line in blue is how many applicants. So over 12,000 applicants who applied had over 4.0. Of those over 12,000, 81% of them were admitted. So yes, for them, the grades were very, very important. As you go down, I'll just go to the other extreme. Look, over 4,000 students who applied had below a 3.3. A little over 1% were accepted. So do you see how the more competitive the university, the more important, the GPA. Now look at strength of schedule. Strength of schedule, this is important. Remember those academic units I talked about? The very first one where it says 31 and above, they're talking about 31 and above academic credits. About 401 students who applied had over 31, and over 78% got accepted. So that's telling. And if you go, I'm going to go to the other extreme. Students, about 8,000, over 8,000 had below 21 credits, and only about a little over 1,000 were accepted. So that's why academic units are very important. And it's not just UF. I'm showing this as an example of a competitive university, but it's, again, you're going to see the same trend with most universities. Okay, maybe not as high, but you'll see that trend. This one is test scores, also the importance of test scores. This is based on the old SAT. As you know, the SAT was redesigned a couple of years ago. But again, the higher SAT, the more applicants and in terms of being accepted is also stated there. It's just a good chart to look at. Okay, so now I'll kind of go over what it takes. There's also going to be a presentation where I'm going to go over a little bit more detail during open house at 5 o'clock before open house on October 9th. That's called What It Takes to Get Into College. So I'll probably go over more details with that one as well. But now let's get into choosing a college. So which college? What are the factors to consider? There's several. First of all, if your child knows what they want to study, and some of them may, does that college have that major? It really doesn't make sense to go to a college if they don't have that major and your child is set on it. Most universities now have majority of courses that are geared towards whatever career they want to take, but there may be something specific that if that university lacks it, and if they really want to do it, then they really should look somewhere else. Besides, I kind of mentioned that. Some children like large universities, some do not, but some look smaller. And what one person likes or is comfortable may not be what's best for your child. Remember, it's your child who's going away. They have to be comfortable where they're going and with the size. Location. Do they want to stay close to home? Maybe they want to stay home. Maybe you're thinking, really, do you want to stay home? But maybe that's okay. Maybe they feel like, I feel more comfortable maybe going to FAU or closer to home, somewhere where like maybe FGC or UCF, where if I had to come home for a day, it's close by. Some of your children are like, no, I want to go as far away as possible. That's maybe an option as well. But remember, it's their comfort level, what they want to do. Cost, you have to keep that in consideration. In-state tuition, yes, is significantly cheaper than out-of-state. I'm not saying that your child can't go out-of-state. A lot of out-of-state universities have excellent scholarship programs where they're trying to attract students from all over the country. So they offer them incentives if they've been an outstanding student. Keep that in mind, and we'll talk about that with scholarships. But you want to keep the cost in mind as well. And also keep in mind, I'm going to show you price tags in a few minutes of what it costs when you actually send your child away to school with tuition and everything. And then athletics and extracurricular activities. Some children, they want to be involved in a sport. Maybe they are going to be competing in a Division or I, II sport as an athlete. That's something to consider. And that's a different, perhaps coffee talk or meeting on that. But there are, or maybe they want to compete in intramural sports. Does that college have intramurals? Do they have fraternity sorority, like a Greek system, student government? Or maybe they just want a quiet, small campus. They're not really into that. That's okay, but those are things to consider. Admission requirements. We kind of went over that. Now, I gave you a matrix about more or less what the mid-range is. You want to make sure they're in that realm of possibility when they're like applying for schools as well. Okay, so now that your child is taking these factors into consideration, now it's kind of time to apply and looking at everything. The bottom line is you don't want to put your eggs all in one basket. So let me go over this. When your child kind of applies for a school, typically most students are applying to more than just one. You want to have your backup choices and so forth. So most kids, what they'll do, they'll choose a safety school. Now, a safety school is that, remember that matrix? They're right there in the range, if not above. Meaning they're past that range of GPA test scores and so forth. That's like their backup plan. But they're like, I would be fine going to this school. I like it, and I'm there. That's their safety school. That's their backup. Then there's the realistic. The realistic school is they're right kind of at that range. They're not way above it, but they're right there, and they're still meeting those requirements, and it's most likely that they'll get in. And then there's the reach school. That's the dream school. You may not be at the range. In fact, you may be a little bit below. Hopefully not light years away from the mid-range, but you may be below that, but that's still something you want to shoot for, and that's okay. Because the college application process is pretty much a holistic approach for admission. They're looking at everything. So yes, as long as, they know they're keeping their options open, it's okay to apply. So those are kids usually apply. There's no set amount number. I know we have parents, well, how many schools should I apply to? Usually the average is about a little bit over 4, but some maybe 3. Some if they know, hey, I'm just going to stay at home, and then maybe I'm going to try, and I know I can get into FAU, not a problem, but I want to have a backup, that's fine too. But apply to more than one. If their choice is, if they really want to go to a 4 university, they should be applying to more than one. Okay, now let's go over the college application process. When to apply, certain terminology in the actual application. Apply early. There may be some senior parents, and I hope your child has started that application, at least is looking at the application and going over it and getting their resume ready and so forth. Many universities have timelines. They have due dates. They have to apply by the due date. I'm going to go over some of that terminology right now. You have in your packet, okay, let's go over this. This is a really cool chart that I found a couple years ago from NACAC, which is the Counseling Association. This is the next page. Which college admission process best suits you? And this is stuff that the terminology they're going to see on the application so they understand it. Most universities have regular decision. It'll say you can apply regular decision, you can do early decision. Regular decision is when you apply, let's say the regular decision is January 1st. That's the regular decision. You want to make sure you apply by then, and then you'll find out by like a certain date, like in April. Okay, that's a regular, it's non-binding, meaning if you apply and you get in, you're not bound to that decision that you have to go. That's when you're going to notice everything is non-binding except for one. I'm going to switch over. There's one called regular versus early decision. Early decision is a binding decision. You're making a commitment there that if you go to early decision, usually it's an earlier, like for instance, some schools may have an early decision date of November 1st or October 15th. And if you decide to do that, there's a contract that your child has to sign, the parent has to sign, the counselor has to sign. We won't sign it until we see that you guys have signed it. Usually it could be something online, especially if it's on Common App, and I'll go over that in a few minutes, but it's something that everyone kind of has to initial. If your child gets into a school that's early decision, they are bound to that. They're making a commitment, and they do have to rescind their applications from other schools. They are making a commitment. There could be financial aid consequences and so forth. Every school may have different setup, but they are bound to that decision. So early decision is for that student that, hey, I absolutely want to go there. I've got the finances. I know, or I'll be able to get a financial aid package. I know this is where I want to go. I can make this happen. This is my dream school. I want to be there. Okay? If they're like, not so sure, but hey, I'm applying early so I can get in. Well, there's other options. Other schools may have other options. For instance, early action. Early action is that you are applying early, but you're not bound to that decision. Okay? So many universities, for instance, like a University of Miami, they may have a regular decision in January, but then they have an early action that's due by November 1st. So you have that benefit of finding out. What's the benefit of doing early action? Well, it could be that you're going to be finding out right away much sooner. So for instance, let's say for University of Miami they have November 1st, those students would typically find out like at the end of January whether they were accepted. And also, if you're a very, very good student, they may offer you a scholarship. Another terminology that's similar to that is priority deadline. You're going to notice a lot of universities say they have a priority deadline. If your student is really serious about a school, they want to get in their application by priority deadline, because first of all, yes, remember I told you about a scholarship. If they went beyond what was required, they may be offered money to go to that school. Also, sometimes after priority deadline, it's space available. So if you see a priority deadline, you also want to call it, and that's non-binding as well. Okay? Another terminology here that I want you to be familiar with is something called rolling admission. Rolling admission means that theoretically, it's not a certain date that you have to apply to. They may say you can apply from August until May. Obviously, you don't want to wait till then because the chances of getting in later in the spring become very, almost close to obsolete. Why? Because all the spaces have been taken if students have applied earlier. Rolling means if you apply, let's say UCF does rolling admission. Let's say you apply in August, and usually within a month or so you may find out whether they were accepted or not. Okay, and then you can make your plans. Also, again, always encourage anything with rolling to apply early and to use that priority deadline just to see if they can get it even quicker and if they're offered scholarship money. And then another thing I want to kind of go over is the restricted early action. I don't see a lot of applications with this, but there are some that do have it if you run into it. It's also non-binding. It works similar to an early action. The only thing is that you're restricted from applying to any other school that's early decision or early action, or also restricted early action. So that's just something in case you run into it, what that is. Okay? So again, there's several admission terminology here. I hope that this will help your child when they're applying. Bottom line is, apply early. Make sure they apply by the deadline. Okay, so the actual application. Everything is online now. There's no such thing as the hard copy application that's not exist anymore. So let's say we use UCF as an example. You would go on their website. Remember, we gave you all the websites there. And then other universities, you can Google them. Google's a wonderful thing. Explore and see. Your child can do that and find the applications easily. So with UCF, you would just go on their website, click Apply Now. And then usually then it will bring you to apply. Most universities will do this, like an undergraduate application. You just kind of click on there, and then you go forward. Your student will be forming their account with that university. Make sure that they write down that information, their password and login for that university, and keep it in a safe place. because they're not usually going to do their application all in one shot. This is something they can come back to back and forth. They want to make sure that that application is perfect. So they need to keep their stuff in a safe place. They're going to be providing their email. Before I forget, best advice I can give to your children, make them start checking their emails. Get into the habit of doing that. Because once they start applying for college, they're going to be receiving a lot of information, maybe even their notification that way. And guess what? When they're in college, their college professors will communicate them through email. They want to, I know our kids are very used to the texting thing. I get it. We all are. But colleges will do largely everything through email. They need to get into the habit of doing that. So they're going to start their application and do everything what that application requires. Some universities, though, may be on a different system, and you'll notice that. You'll find out when you go into that university's website. For instance, University of Florida, they're on something called Coalition. And it'll tell you, you don't have to go on the Coalition website. Always start with the university's website, and they'll tell you, they'll direct you to go where you need to go to apply. We have here, again, in your packet, an application checklist of the things that you need to do for Coalition for University of Florida. FSU now is on Coalition as well. They just started adapting to Coalition this year. Okay, they still give that option to do a separate application. You don't have to go on Coalition, but if your child is applying to UF and FSU, they might as well do the Coalition for both. There's other universities throughout the nation on Coalition. I think Harvard's now on Coalition, you had mentioned the other day. But yeah, there are other universities on Coalition and so forth. Again, you'll be directed on the website. Common App. This is something I also want to bring to your attention. That's the next page on your packet. The Common App, over 700 universities are in the Common App application. It's one application fits all. So if your child is applying to universities, like 3 or 4 that are on Common App, they are essentially doing one application. Some of them will be required to do certain sections that are extra, but it'll say it on the Common App. The Common App also has other things that have to be done. It's not just the application. Obviously, you know, aside from the essay and all that, they have to send an invitation to their guidance counselor requesting them to do a secondary school report, which is basically a letter of recommendation. They also have to invite 1 or 2 or 3 teachers to do a recommendation. So in your packet where it says Common App, notice we have our emails. So if you have a child that's applying to Common App, they have that email right there. They can email us, but then the teacher that they need to send the request to do a recommendation, they need to get their emails. They also have to provide us with a resume, with us and the teachers. Resumes, a list of activities that they've done throughout high school, whether it's clubs, extracurricular, community service. It's all that information so that we can fill out the actual secondary school report and that your teachers can do the recommendation. Okay? So that is the Common App. So basically, we've gone over with the application, you want to follow the directions. Make sure you do everything that that application entails. Nothing less, nothing more. The college essay is very important. We always tell our students it's not a completion grade. A lot of kids think, oh, they just want that. They're not going to really read it. No, they do read it. Okay? And sometimes, if let's say applicant A has the same exact stuff, whether GPA, HPA, rigor, schedule, they have the same thing with applicant B. That essay can be the deciding factor. That's what the admission committee will look at to see whether they have, they can express themselves very well. They know how to write. Their demonstration of higher order thinking skills. Also, they're looking at the applicant as a person. What makes them stand out against other applicants? What makes them different? Maybe it's an experience that your child had in high school that really impacted them. They're going to see that in the essay. So they really need to make sure they work hard on that essay, have someone not just read it for grammar and so forth, but also we always recommend that they show it to maybe a former English teacher that can give them a second opinion. Sometimes our senior English teachers, they actually go over this with them, how to create that great college essay. We also in your packet have tips for your child, top 10 tips for writing the college essay, and this is what college admission committees tell us that over and over again what they like to see. Okay. Also, when you do the college application, we've done the application, we talked about the essay. They send the application away on their email. They also have to send their SAT and ACT test scores. How do they do that? They go on the SAT website or ACT and they request for those scores to go there. When they initially sign up for the test, they're given with both SAT and ACT about 4 colleges. Anytime they register for the test, they ask, do you want to send these scores somewhere? They can request 4 score reports. If they wait till several days after the test, then they do have to pay, and it's, I think, about $12 per report. Just letting you know what the options are. But the colleges and universities will not accept them unless they are official from SAT and ACT. They will not accept them from the college transcript. Speaking of which, the transcript. In your packet, we have the instructions on how students can submit an official transcript. I mentioned the transcript at the beginning of our presentation. That is the final record of all your students' grades, final semester grades, GPA, GPA, all that information is on the transcript. The way our students at Park Vista request a transcript, it's not with us directly. They have to go on Parchment. It's a website. This is the processing service we use. They will request that, they can make a request where they want that transcript to go, that official transcript, and then our school will make sure it's sent out. It's $5 per transcript. Now, there are 2 schools, actually there's several schools now, that in the state of Florida that are using something called the SSAR, which is a self-reported student academic record. Basically, the University of Florida, Florida State, FAU, Florida Polytechnic, and New College, they are now using SSAR where your child will not be sending a transcript to them initially. There's going to be a link on the application will say, okay, go to SSAR and self-report your grades. They're going to be inputting their courses and their grades accurately. Okay, I really want to press upon that. It has to be accurate, no mistakes. But what we suggest our students to do to fill this out accurately is to go back on Parchment. There is a way that you can pull an unofficial transcript where you don't pay for it and you make a copy of it, and then they can use that to report all their grades and courses. So we do tell them to do that, not to be like, oh, I think I got to be in English my freshman year. No, make sure they're reporting accurately. Because let's say they're accepted into University of Florida. Every university, by the way, will require, wherever you're accepted and you decide to go, will require a final transcript. Okay? That final transcript, remember, because when they're accepted initially, that's still conditioned. It's conditional based upon how they finish their senior year. They want to make sure when a college sees the final transcript that the grades are not low, that they didn't drop a course. Let's say they had physics and they told the colleges and universities, because in their application they have to write down what they are taking in progress, plus it's going to be on their transcript what they're taking in progress. So if they say that they were taking physics and then come final transcript, wow, they dropped that course back in January, whether it's poor grades or dropping academic courses, a college has the right to rescind a decision. We see it happen. We don't like to see it happen, but it happens. Okay? So that's why doing really well the senior year is so important. It's not a vacation year. Oh, I've made it. Yeah, I'm a senior. I got into college. No, they still have to do well because they have to turn in a final transcript. And with the SSAR, that's when the colleges will look to verify that what they reported was accurate. So it's really important that they report accurately with that and with the SSAR. And this is what it looks like when they go on. They also are going to be forming a password. That's why it's important that they're writing down all those passwords and what they need to get into these systems. Okay, extracurricular activities. A lot of the applications will also ask in fact, all of them will ask, what activities have they done? What community service have they done? Not only will they ask you to list, my son went through this process yesterday, or last year I should say. Seems like yesterday, but he did it last year. It's not just listing. They have to describe what they did in those activities. They have to describe what role did you have in this club? Did you have a leadership position? Were you in a committee? Describe briefly. So remember, when they're participating in activities in high school, hopefully it's been activities that have meaning to them, that they just didn't put in the membership fee and never showed up to the club and, hey, I'm in the club, I can put it on my resume. You can, but keep in mind, they're going to be asking specific questions on what they did. So hopefully your children have found stuff in high school to do that they had a passion for, whether it was a sport, band, course, club, organization, community service, something that they did. It's not just decorating a resume. Also, many of your children are working. That colleges do look at that as extracurricular. They can most certainly put that as part of their resume. Okay, so keep in mind, it's not a listing type thing. There are websites that help students compose a resume. One is called In Like Me. I like this website a lot because it not just gives you ideas on how to compose one, they also have free templates that they can look at in order to do a resume. And also a lot of the colleges and universities will also let you uplink the resume and so forth, so it's not just listing. So it's a good idea. They should start composing their resume now, even if they're underclassmen. And this is just an example of one. And we also have in your packet the importance of a high school resume. And then last but not least, the application fee. That seals the deal. It's between $30 to $50 typically on average. Some are as high as $75. But they have to have the application, everything involved in the application, the transcript, the test scores, and the application fee. Those are the four major parts of a college application. And then it's up for them to review it. Okay, these are some resources that I kind of, some of them I pointed out to you, like College Board, that helps with college planning. And like me, I pointed out to you, mycareershines.org has a lot of Florida information about Florida schools, also career planning as well. So you're free. Big Future is on College Board. College Board remembers what I told you about, where if, let's say it's a school from out of state, they want to find out what the profile was and so forth, they can go on College Board. That's also the SAT website. There's also a link to College Board called Big Future. Big Future is a pretty cool link because they can actually filter and do things like the type of school, test scores based on test scores, sports activities, and find out what colleges may be appropriate for them by filtering that out. So this is just a good link to look at as well. College Confidential. College Confidential has a lot of great information. They can do college searches. They can go to a forum, kind of like a live chat where kids are talking about their college visits, what they feel about certain universities, maybe even current students at those colleges and universities. They're giving their opinion, answering specific questions. Lots of great information on here. Free resources on financial aid. Again, the Campus 5 is what I told you about, where you can do virtual tours, and kids will actually post pictures and their thoughts and everything about universities they've visited. Our school website, Park Vista website, has a lot of great stuff under guidance. If you click the guidance tab, voila, we have our own website that one of our counselors, Ms. Dare, designed. Lots of great information. That college information booklet you received today has that. And there's other links too, like the scholarships, like past presentations. This presentation will be on this website as well. The matrix is on there. They have the book, College Visits. And actually, you have here in your packet the list of all the current universities that are coming here to do presentations. That's one way that your child can kind of get to know or hear a presentation for free. When we have someone coming here from the University of Florida or FSU or FAU, I believe FAU is coming today actually, where they actually give a brief presentation about their school. They answer general questions that students may have. They would sign up in the guidance office during lunchtime. Mr. Trevini, who does this, does a wonderful job organizing. I mean, we even have Ohio State coming, University of South Florida, Carnegie Mellon. It's not just in-state, but out-of-state as well. They need to take advantage of that. And also in your packet, I have information about college fairs that are coming up. We have one on Wednesday, October 18th at the South Florida Fairgrounds. That's open to everyone. It's not just colleges and universities throughout the nation, but also armed forces representatives. And there's also another flyer. There's one that's on October 1st in Broward County from 1 to 4. It's the South Florida National College Fair, and we have information there for you. And then we also have on-site admission application process. The other day, FAU was here and helped over 40 seniors apply to FAU. We have, and this is just for seniors, so for those who are underclassmen parents, hopefully we'll have this opportunity next year as well. But in your packet, we have the schools, it's FIU, FAU, FGCU, and then Palm Beach State will be here in the spring also. And then on the others page, we have what they should have as a minimum to participate in these application process seminars we're having. So again, it's just another resource we have here at Park Vista. Okay, we went over the whole college application application process. Next question. How are you going to pay for it? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a parent who's living the dream right now. So what I'm telling you is not an exaggeration, and hopefully some of these resources will help you as well, because no matter how much you save, someone once told me it's never quite enough, and they're absolutely right. There's always something. So hopefully some of these resources will help. This is what I want to show you. This is the basic cost of attendance at Florida Atlantic University. Compared if you were living on campus, if you were living off campus in an apartment, like some of our students, they may be going to FAU, but they're like, yeah, but I don't want to live at home. I want to live like in an apartment nearby, or I want to live at home, or live on campus. And then if you're living at home with a parent. So look at the breakdown here. Let's just do on campus. Tuition and fees alone, and this is for 1 year, okay? 1 year is over $5,000. If you look at room and board, that's your dorm, cafeteria, all that, it's over $12,000. And then you have other fees. There are other fees, trust me. Book and supplies over $1,000, personal expenses over $2,000. A grand total for 1 year in state at FAU over $23,000. This is not a lie, okay? This is true. This is a true number. Off campus is a little bit more if they're living in an apartment compared to on campus. And then with parents, if they were living at home with you, it's still over $13,000 because of all the fees that are involved in college. Now, there are ways to try to offset this, and hopefully some of these resources will be useful. There is financial aid and there's scholarships. Now, some of you may be on prepaid or have other forms of things that you've done to try to save, but some of these things may also help. There's 2 types of financial aid. There's aid based on financial need, and students who qualify for that, either if they qualify under financial need, then they may be given a grant where they're given the money and they don't have to pay it back, or in the form of a loan, like a Stafford loan, it's an educational loan at a very low interest, or in the form of a work study program where they're like, okay, we're going to award you money to go to school for this year, but then you have to work on the campus for a few hours a week. That's all based on need. Then there's scholarships. Scholarships are based on merit and need, or sometimes just merit. Okay? So it just depends. It just depends on the situation. It depends on what the scholarship, the eligibility requirement of those scholarships. Okay? So the application process for financial need, okay? There's the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. This is when a student is trying to qualify for grants. When you hear students are receiving a grant, it's because they applied for FAFSA and they qualified. And FAFSA is based on information that the parent guardian is going to be inputting on this form. It'll be your tax information, like this year's senior parents, it's going to be based on 2016. So you're going to be using your tax information from there. FAFSA also has like a data retrieval where they're going to be able to pull up that information if you file your taxes, which is nice. So it is a form that has to be filled out. You have to fill it out, and so does your child has to input information as well. If they qualify for FAFSA, again, like I said, it may be in the form of a grant, loan, or work-study program. FAFSA is a year-to-year thing. You don't just apply for it one time and then that's it. No, they would apply for it again the following year, etc. Because everyone's financial situation may change. That's why it's year-to-year. And it's always in October. It's coming up. October is FAFSA month. That's the earliest you can fill it out. Some schools also have like a FAFSA deadline. Like again, some senior parents, you may be realizing when your child is filling an application, that's in the application, say for financial aid, they have to make sure they fill out a FAFSA by November or December. So your child needs to pay attention to when they're applying to college, and if they're applying to FAFSA, what that college may be requiring. Sometimes they don't, but most of them do. A lot of private schools have a CSS financial aid profile, which is like kind of like their FAFSA form. There is a fee to that usually. There are some schools that require it if they're applying for financial aid. And then a lot of the universities may have their own specific application that maybe is most likely free in their part of the application process, not like the CSS, but there may be like a financial aid form that is relevant to that college. But the FAFSA, again, the FAFSA, we encourage that every family fills out the FAFSA, whether you think your child may receive something or not. You have nothing to lose, and there's a lot of scholarships that require that a student has submitted a FAFSA form as well. Okay, so scholarships. Let's talk about Bright Futures Scholarship Program. Remember, Bright Futures, oh, and by the way, with FAFSA, before I forget, in your packet, we are offering for our senior parents, starting next week, FAFSA workshops. So if you need help with FAFSA, we have these dates starting, the first one's going to be October 5th in the morning in that back computer lab over there from 8 to 9:30. We have people coming here that are financial aid officers that can help with that, with the FAFSA. However, you want to make sure that you form something. Make sure you read all the information to the right where it says establish your FAFSA ID. You and your child have to have that FAFSA ID established, and we give the directions in that, for that before you start the FAFSA application. And it takes about 3 to 5 days to process it. So if you're interested in this, I would already start doing that this week for the FAFSA ID. Because when you come in here, if you don't have your FAFSA ID, all they can help you with is to do the FAFSA ID, and then that's it. You cannot proceed with the application until a few more days. Okay? So we have the dates and times here. We have, I'll let you read that because I know we're short on time, but all these dates and times are here for FAFSA workshops. Okay? And then Bright Futures. Bright Futures is money that can be used in the state of Florida. If your child applies and meets all the requirements, they will automatically receive it, which is nice. This is for Florida schools. Can it be used for private schools in Florida? Yes, it can. But they are going to give you or award your child what's comparable to that value of what they would have received at the public university. And remember, private schools about triple the amount of money that you would be spending at a public university. Yes, a lot of private schools have incentives for scholarships there and so forth. With any college and university, you want your child also to check the financial aid website and see what scholarships they have there. Remember, I already told you, sometimes applying early, they'll be awarded money. Okay, if they're a great student. But also see if they have any other individual scholarships. Always check with the college and university's websites as well. Okay? So, Bright Futures. There's 3 award levels for Bright Futures. The Florida Academic, and again, this is based on certain courses. It's not based on Park Vista's GPA or HPA. Bright Futures does similar to what the college do. They recalculate. They will do look at your 4 English, your 4 math, including Algebra 1, must also have a math and Algebra 2, 3 sciences, your social studies, your 2 foreign languages, total of 16 credits, and then maybe a couple of other, if they've taken other AP or AB or ACE courses or dual enrollment, they may look at those courses also. And they're going to weight it the same way the universities and colleges did the weighting with the 0.5 with honors and a full quality point for AP, ACE, and dual enrollment. So it's going to be recalculated. 100 hours of community service, 1290 on the SAT, or 29 on the ACT, and that is not including the essay, and they super score either or. Nice, which is nice, okay? That, and then the Medallion is the second scholarship. It's a 3.0 weighted GPA in all these courses, 75 hours of community service, 1170 on the SAT, or 26 on the ACT. And then the Gold Seal. The Gold Seal, now the first 2 scholarships I just told you about are scholarships that can be used if you're going to a traditional 4-year program, bachelor's degree, or if you're doing 2+2. 2+2 is if you're doing AA degree at Palm Beach State and then transferring to your last 2 years at the university. If you're doing one of those programs, the Florida Academic and Medallion are fine. Gold Seal, this is for more kids who may have taken like maybe an academy program here and did very well, and also have a minimum 3.0 with certain test scores. They can be awarded Gold Seal, however, they can only use it for a vocational program after high school. So if they're going into like a PSAV program at Palm Beach State, anything that's like vocational, they can use Gold Seal if they meet the requirements, but they cannot use it for 4-year or like bachelor's or 2+2. Okay, so the breakdown for Bright Futures, how does it work? Well, I'll tell you how it worked this year. If you heard on the news this past summer, the Florida Academic, which is the top one, they actually gave 100% tuition and fees with certain fees, plus $300 book voucher for each semester. That was really nice, okay? Usually it's not that much. Usually it's half of that. But this year the governor signed something where the incoming college freshmen and those who are currently enrolled in college were awarded that if they had Florida Academic. Hopefully they'll do that again, okay? The Medallion pays about $77 off a credit hour. Remember, every college course is 3 credit hours. A credit hour could be, let's say it's like $190 or $200. I'm just using that as an example, then $77 will be taken off of that credit hour. So that's how it's broken down into, okay? When in a normal situation with Florida Academic, it's usually 103 per credit hour. So hopefully the governor will sign this again, and hopefully maybe Medallion, you never know, maybe give them more as well. Remember, Bright Futures is a year-to-year thing. They can change their minds on things like that. Okay, nothing is guaranteed. This is what the current situation is now. For Bright Futures, students apply in October when they're seniors, but they have till June of their senior year to qualify for Bright Futures. This is, I actually have here in your packet, it's somewhere here, but there is like a flyer for Bright Futures that gives the link and so forth on how to apply. They can also go on mycareershines.org and put in their social security number and see if they are on track for Bright Futures. Those who are senior parents, we gave your seniors your status, their status on Bright Futures and what they had so far. So you may want to ask them. Hopefully we can do that next year also for the seniors. But in October is the earliest date. If they apply, if they earn all the requirements, they will get the scholarship. So have them apply in October, and hopefully they'll get all the requirements in by June of their senior year. Okay, this is the flyer I was referring to that should be in your packet. It gives, again, the basic requirements, and then the link on what they need to go on to apply for Bright Futures. The FAFSA and football I went over, or the FAFSA workshops and FAFSA and football. And then there's other websites. I also have here a list of websites in your packet where you can, your child can expand on their searches for scholarships. There's a lot of scholarships out there, locally, statewide, nationwide. These are websites that they can use. KTEX is a really nice website. That's probably one of my favorite ones, where they can put in a profile and find out what scholarships. FastRide is good too. It's just a little bit overwhelming, but they can try that as well. But a lot of these websites will help. And when should they apply for scholarships? Early, the same time they apply for college, because you can't have one without the other. And if you wait, a lot of kids make the mistake where they wait till the spring to apply for scholarships. Well, then they miss 3/4 of the year where they could have been applying for all this money that was out there and they missed out on. So make sure that's your one takeaway today. Apply, if they need to apply early for scholarships. Again, this is the KTEX website that I was referring to. And then the bulletin. You all received, actually, right off the press, our third bulletin. Your children haven't even received this yet. This is the scholarship bulletin. So any scholarship information we receive, we post on the bulletin. Always as a hard copy, it's available in guidance. It's also on the school website under guidance, under scholarship. This will be on there as well. It's going to be there tomorrow probably. But like I said, this is right off the press. A lot of these have links to scholarships where they can cut and paste and go on that website and download the application. If it says application available in the Guidance Center, Career Center, that's that back room in guidance where your child can go in. There's a filing cabinet that says scholarships, and it's in alpha order. They can pick up the application there. I'm actually the scholarship coordinator, so they don't, if your child doesn't find it for whatever reason, maybe the last copy was taken, they can come see me. I can make copies. We also do something called, is that the next one? Yes, it is. Scholarship Thursdays. We actually have our first one today. So exciting. It is only for your students, though. It is during lunchtime. So any flyers, hard copy scholarships I take out from the filing cabinet. I have it there. I have descriptions. All your child, and I'm there to answer questions to the best of my ability. So all they have to do is walk in. I always tell them it's like shopping for shoes. You're just looking to see what maybe may fit them, what may be appropriate. If they read the description, if it's an application, they think, yeah, I think I'll take it. Then they can take it. It's free, okay? They can ask questions. Sometimes I have people coming over to do presentations. Just so you know, George Snow Scholarship Foundation, that's a big major scholarship in Palm Beach County. I'm having sign-ups for that starting today during Scholarship Thursday. It's a presentation similar to what I'm doing right now, but they're going to be going over the actual application for George Snow. It is a need/merit-based scholarship, but it's, again, if they're not sure whether they meet the criteria, have them sign up, because we had several winners last year, and typically, a lot of times they'll make up the difference of what may be missing. They also provide students with laptops, makeovers before they go to college. It's just a lovely foundation, and they're going to be here October 18th. So tell your seniors, tell your children to sign up for it. They can start signing up for it, and there is a Scholarship Thursday, and they can sign up for it until the day before, the 18th. But I have scholarship dates. This is just for first semester. I'll have more second semester. And then I also put in golden rules for winning a scholarship. Things that you can do. Start early. Look, wow, amazing. That's the first piece of advice. Start early. Speak with speak with scholarship advisors. Read applications carefully. Make sure they meet the requirements. If it says you have to have a 3.0, guess what? It cannot be a 2.7. Have them not do the scholarship. Do not have them waste their time. Don't tell them also, just because there's an essay, that doesn't mean they shouldn't do it because it's too much time. If they potentially win that scholarship, let's say it's a $500 scholarship, and it took them 2 hours to do an essay. They just earned $500 in 2 hours if they win that scholarship. How many jobs do you know where you're doing that? So please, tell them, a lot of them, that's what I know, oh, there's an essay, I don't want to do it. They do it, because sometimes some of the essay topics are the same over and over, just a little, you just have to tweak it a little bit, okay, so to speak. So tell them not to shy away from those. And also local scholarships, take advantage, I mean, apply for everything, but the local scholarships especially. Because you're not competing with the whole state or the whole nation.
Also, check where you work. You may
Yes.
where you work.
Yes.
Works
Yes.
with Windows. They're out of Canada. I said, well, do they have a scholarship program? He goes, no. He goes, they don't have a scholarship program. He calls me back the next day. He goes, we have a scholarship program.
Yeah.
I was like, check it out.
Yes, absolutely. You never know. Maybe you work for a company or even local or whatever. Or maybe firefighters, they may have something, or certain associations. So that's perfect, Mr. Rawl. Absolutely. Okay, so we're kind of winding down a little bit. We have other coffee talks coming up. Next one, November 19th. Remember we were talking about resume building, and hopefully your child has done something that can set them apart. Well, look over here, November 19th. How do you set your child apart from the crowd? We'll have people here that will be giving you tips for that. We also have one on the registration process, meaning signing up for classes for next year. And then April 27th, this is going to be a real cool one. We're actually going to have several college admission counselors here, kind of like a roundtable type thing, where it's going to be in the, I believe it's going to be in the auditorium, right? And we'll just say it's going to be in there. And then you'll be having an opportunity to talk to several college admission counselors as an open forum type thing. And then we end the year with how to search for colleges and how to apply on May 24th, provided that's not graduation. If not, we'll change the date. So hopefully we'll see you again in a future coffee talk. And then hopefully you know who your student's guidance counselor is. On this turn on K through N, we have Mr. DeWalt over here, who is SP through Z. We have Mr. Twee right there in back of Mr. DeWalt, who is A through DA. Miss Stair, right there in the middle there, is DE through J. And we have Ms. Verano, also with 504 plans. She's standing over there. And Miss Lester is O through SQ. So hopefully at some point we meet all your students, by the way. When they're freshmen, we meet all of them. We see them always at least once or twice a year throughout as they're coming throughout high school. And they know we're available to see them before school, after school, during lunch. Please tell them, even if we have a little bit of a line, we're pretty good. Okay, we're pretty quick to not shy away, to stay in line, but now our lines have really died down quite a bit, so we're pretty much always available. Thank you so much. Are there any specific, we have a few minutes, are there any specific questions we can answer? Yes?
First of all, thank you for all this information. It was so helpful.
Thank you.
Can you go over the quality points that
Yes, the quality points. Okay. Remember, A's are worth 4 points. B's are 3. C's are 2. C's and F's 2, 1. What they do is you happen to have a final grade, let's say it was an honors class, like bio honors. You earned an A. A, yes, traditionally is 4 points, but in honors, the college and Bright Futures is going to assign it 4.5. It's going to be a 0.5 for honors. If it's an AP, ACE, or dual enrollment, it's going to be 1 full quality point. So that those 4 points become 5. That's the way. That's weight. That's what we mean by weighted, because they're assigning extra quality points.
so each grade goes up by 0.5.
Or a full quality, depending on the level of the course. Correct. So yes, her question was, how do you assign quality points? How colleges do it? Any other questions? Yes.
On your chart where it says the number of credits you take in seconds, are the credits all 4?
Yes, when they're talking about the credits, remember the colleges, when they look, she wants to know about the core credits, like the 31. Yes, and you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot. But you would be amazed. Remember, some of those kids, that's the University of Florida. Okay, so a lot of these kids have started taking core academic classes already back in middle school, like their algebra, geometry, Spanish, so they started early. And these are kids that are taking, they're taking full schedules. That's the other thing I want to kind of mention. A lot of your kids, they want that no 6, that no 7, and all that great stuff. Guess what? That's less opportunity to earn core academic classes. So when your child is thinking, and we send home forms, and we advise them not to, but if they're coming back with a signature, you know, that you're telling us it's okay, so we're gonna do it as much as we convince them not to. So that's why it's important, if you're interested in like competitive universities, that they are taking a lot of core academics and electives. So, for instance, a lot of your students may be finishing with their math credits by the end of their junior year. Still take math your senior year. Guess what? Math doesn't go away when you go to college. You have to do at least one semester of it, most likely, depending on your major. So it is, you want to keep it. The same with science. You want to keep on. I mean, we have a lot of kids who have like 5 or 6 credits of science because they've taken more than one science in one year, or they ended up taking it their senior year. So yes, those are academic units.
Not all ACE classes are considered academic.
Yes, all ACE classes are considered. Anything that's ACE or AP and dual enrollment. And even if it's like AP Art, that's academic. It's a college level course. Yes. Yes. So her question was, ACE, APs, any are considered academic? Yes. Doesn't matter if it's like an elective, it's considered academic. Any other questions? Yes.
If you ask through parchment for a transcript to go to a college, how long does that process take?
Usually when you put in something through parchment, or a registrar usually sees it the following day. She's pretty good. She usually processes it within that day. Now, the time it gets to the college, that's a different story. So it depends how the college is accepting it. I would say usually within a week or so, the college finally has it, because remember, these are big universities. They're getting a lot of transcripts, and they're filtering a lot of things too, so usually within a week.
When you order it, how long it takes for the college to process it.
Thank you.
They're processing them right now very quickly, but
As the time.
more people apply because they're waiting and waiting and waiting, then they're getting all of these.
And we only process them on school days, so, you know, if you ask for it the day before winter break,
Yeah, it's not
it might take
gonna.
3 weeks for us to process.
Exactly, yeah, or even during the break, but we're not here. So, you know, there's nobody here, so keep in mind that that's not gonna happen until later. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Bright Future Scholarship Service Awards, when do they have to be complete?
Anything for Bright Futures needs to be done by June of their senior year, the earlier, the earlier the better, just to get it out of the way. I would just say by the time they graduate, tell your child that everything has to be done by the time they graduate. So her question was service hours for Bright Futures. Remember, Bright Futures eligibility, they check everything until June. So
2 periods, 2 evaluation periods. The first one takes place in January, at the end of January. So that's early evaluation. They'll look at anything in by January 31st. They'll do a second evaluation in July.
but don't wait till, have it done by June, okay? Don't wait till July, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, they do it in anything through June.
Yeah, anything through June. Thank you.
A lot of students want to wait until they get the scores or anything before they apply for a Bright Futures.
Yes.
Bright Futures doesn't care. All you're doing is applying and letting them know you exist. That's it. They're going to do an evaluation in January, no matter what. They're going to do an
Yeah, they're gonna keep on
no
looking.
matter what. But if you haven't applied, they won't evaluate. Yeah, they won't evaluate. They won't.
Yeah, because that's what keeps some of our kids, well, I don't have all of it yet, but still, your name's in the system, make sure they apply, like you said, we'll keep on looking.
October 1st is the Monday day.
I think the just answer this, but can you apply for Bright Futures, even if you haven't?
Yes, you can apply for Bright Futures even if you haven't met the testing requirements. Remember, you have till through June to get those in. So the June test will count for Bright Futures. So let's say your child's missing but a few, and we know students to get it. Like they were still missing a few points, have them take that test in June. It's a lot of money you're saving for that one day of testing. So yes, absolutely. Any other questions? Yes.
I was reading that you offer, I guess, is it a testing or a program for students where they don't really know what they want to do, but they can take some type of a test?
ASVAB. The ASVAB. Her question was, we offer some kind of test that they don't know what they want to do. The ASVAB is an excellent career aptitude test. It is administered by the military, but no, they're not committing to go to the military by taking the test. I think we had over 300 kids take it last year. It's a great test because it's not just measuring your personality, but also your abilities. academically and so forth. So the sign-ups for that, I believe, start next week. The test is November 2nd, but it is a great test because then they come back in January and they go over the results. It's not just like an interest inventory test, it's a career aptitude test, yes.
At what grade should they test that? Because like I have a son that's a sophomore.
Okay, starting sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah, ninth graders cannot take it. Thank you for asking that. The earliest you can take it is your sophomore year. I thought I saw someone raise their hand. Yes.
Future application, can we do junior year?
No. Her question was, can you do the Bright Futures application your junior year? No. The earliest you can do is October the senior year. We'll remind them over and over again. Yes.
How much does the early decision increase chances of admission?
I mean, if your student's a top student, yes, it does increase it. But remember, this has got to be, yes, this is really where I want to go. I'm 100% yes. Okay, because of
And
the...
none of our Florida State universities have
None of them do.
early decisions or anything like that.
Yeah, it's only certain private schools,
Usually elite
elite schools have it. Yeah, none of the public universities in Florida have it. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you in November.